there are too many people running around with no stats, and too many agents joining those people with no stats, right? Not to toot my own horn, but I can put up 6-figure months. I've done it. I've recorded it on social media. I've posted every single day. Made 70. This has been my best weekend ever in terms of take-home income. Just this past Labor Day, after 13 years in the industry, 73 grand is a pretty good 4-day, 5-day span.
This is Stay Paid, the marketing podcast that gives listeners a competitive edge to stay motivated, find inspiration, and discover proven real-world tactics from some of the best marketers across the nation.
Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Josh Versteik along with Luke Acree, and our guest today is Peter Fournier. Peter is a seasoned life insurance salesman and trainer. He has taught hundreds of agents how to optimize their own life insurance business, all while managing a nationwide life insurance agency spanning from New Jersey to California. Peter, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Peter, it's awesome to have you. We were just sharing, guys, not only is he incredible in the insurance business, he's an expert DJ. Yeah, exactly. So you guys, exactly. I mean, the dance moves and everything.
Oh, okay, damn.
We were on a party bus together down at, there's this conference in insurance called SWAT, put on by Nate Hofford. And we interviewed Nate on the show, so you guys will have to go back and check out his episode. It's a great episode. But got to hear Pete speak there, and we got on a party bus together to go to Nate's house, and you were the voluntold DJ, I think.
Voluntold.
Yes, voluntold. Very good.
Voluntold, and you pulled it out, man. You pulled it out. I could see instantly. I was like, yeah, this guy is an incredible salesman, relationship builder. I'd love for you to share. You've had so much success in the insurance space. Can you share a little bit of what got you into insurance and how did you build the company?
Yeah, so successful now, not so much 12 years ago when I first started, or going on 13 years. But I started at Captive. Two of my fraternity brothers basically convinced me to join a captive agency that they were working for. And I was like, I'm way smarter than both of you, so I'm going to crush this thing. And signed up. It was terrible. And went to another captive, finally went independent in 2013. Worked as president of sales for another IMO for about 3 years. So I was on like the more corporate side of things for a hot second. Didn't love that too much. And then corporate life just isn't for me. You know what I mean? So I went back to agency building and started All Things Insurance Group as a national IMO in November of 2021. So it's been a long journey. That's where all this gray hair comes from. But yeah, it was definitely mediocre at best in the beginning. And now I like to think I know what I'm doing.
Now, how many agents do you work with across the country?
We got about 520 now. So like 16, 17 on the LOA side. So our like internal career model, and about 400 and something, high 4s, low 5s on the broker side. Do
you spend most of your time today recruiting and training, or are you still out in the sales game?
Both. So AEP is just around the corner for those people that are doing Medicare, and cash flow is always very important. So this Labor Day, I decided to hop on a plane, go to New Jersey, and write a crap load of premium.
Oh my gosh.
Can I curse on this? Am I allowed?
Yeah. Well, we are a PG.
Yeah. Whatever.
We're a PG-13 podcast, but Ethan can always edit if we have to.
So I hopped on a plane, wrote a bunch of business, made about 73 grand real quick for the company. Not so much for me.
Freaking ridiculous, dude. But walk us through that. Like, how do you make 73 grand? That it's not nonchalant, right? It's 13 plus years of pounding the pavement. But like, what is your advice to agents from a sales perspective there of how to make it happen for AEP?
Most of those sales are from existing clients and or referrals, and referrals of existing clients. So like some of these two of the couples that I wrote up an annuity for on Saturday or Sunday of this past weekend, like I wrote them in 2013. So I've just been in contact with these people consistently. I would say every 6 to 12 months, maybe just checking in. This fine couple pays almost, $15,000, $16,000 a year for their life insurance over the span of time. Now they have an annuity. They were my first med sub ever because when I didn't know squat about Medicare, I called my existing clients to practice. You know what I mean? So it is, to your point, a culmination of like 13 years of experience and also maintaining the relationship of your clients and not necessarily being one and done. That can afford me to be like, all right, well, I'm going to set appointments with my client base, 2 weeks before, buy a plane ticket, rent a car, go visit my parents and pull in, 72, 73 grand.
Crazy, man.
Talk more about the referral side then. How are you kind of making sure that you are the one that is getting referred out to by your clients and by the people within your sphere?
Yeah, so one, you got to ask. And I found this out very early on in my career because buying leads sucks. Full transparency, it's not fun for anybody.
Amen.
And amen. And it's really not fun when you have no money. So I was buying, $5, $6, $7 age leads, putting them on a credit card that I couldn't pay off until the end of the month once I wrote business. So I had to lower my average lead costs, and I couldn't buy worse leads because these were crap already. Right. So I had to lower my cost per acquisition. And the only way to do that was through referrals. So first and foremost, asking during the presentation, I teach our agency force to get at least 3, if not 5 per sale that you make.
Wow.
And then 1 per non-sale. You might as well swing the bat one more time on people that say pound sand. And over the course of time, that'll culminate to hundreds, if not thousands, of potential referrals. And as long as you stay in front of your clients every 6 to 12 months, and I'm not saying, don't get it twisted, audience, like Pete Fournier is out calling everybody every 6 months and being like, how are you doing? We have automations. I'm sending out texts. I'm just in front of them in some way, shape, or form. They follow me on social media, whatever the case may be, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean having a half-hour chat every 6 months, but staying in front of them is super important, and being their go-to guy for their friends and family is super important as well.
How do you do the ask? Because a lot of people, they struggle to ask, right? The famous Dale Carnegie stat is like 91% of consumers when surveyed say they will refer, but 11% of salespeople ask. So that's like a famous stat out there that people know. I think it's because the salesperson doesn't know how to ask. Like, how do you teach your reps to ask?
Yeah, 2-step process during the sale. So 1, you're obviously selling these people, and we're always leading with life insurance. Occasionally we'll lead with Medicare or ACA or annuities, but life has always been my bread and butter. So with life insurance comes beneficiaries, right? And you want at least 3. 1, for a client's perspective, there are hundreds of millions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance funds during a given year. It's just a stat. And that's because they name one beneficiary. They don't tell the beneficiary dies. There's no contingent, goes to the estate, and all this money's in the ether.
Wow.
Right? So instead, always get 3. And it doesn't matter what the breakdown is. 2 primaries, a primary and contingent, and a tertiary for those of you that just got licensed and remember that word, whatever it is. And when you get the beneficiaries, whatever process you have in terms of scripting, because I don't want to fix what's not broken, but during your process, when you ask for the beneficiaries, you have to let the insured know it's not my job just to get you insurance today. It's also to explain to your beneficiary what it means to be a beneficiary. So I'm going to reach out to them on your behalf. I'm going to let them know who I am, that I'm your agent, give them all my contact information, let them know what carrier and what product you bought because they're going to inherit it, and what to do in the event that something unlikely happens to you. So if you could do me a quick favor while I'm completing your application, just shoot them a quick text on your cell phone and let them know your insurance agent's going to be calling them because you're marking them as your beneficiary on your policy.
So good.
And that's it. That's it. There's no sale. There's no big ask, whatever. And I've never had anyone be like, no pound sand. They're like, oh, wow. Okay, great. I'm going to contact
It's actually the complete opposite. It makes it seem like concierge service.
Yeah.
It makes it like
no
next
one's
level.
doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody, right? Nobody's doing that in the life insurance space. And then when you call the beneficiary, you do exactly what you promised to do. There's no bait and switch. It's, hey, I'm Pete. I'm your parents' life insurance agent. They bought X, Y, and Z from X, Y, and Z carrier. Here's how it works. Here's how it pays out. Here's the claim forms and contact information. And all I say at the end is, and by the way, do you have anything like mom and dad have in place? Yes, no, maybe so. You're in a sales conversation. No matter what. They'll say, yes, I have something through work. Okay, what do you got? Well, I don't know. Well, if you don't mind taking 10, 15 minutes of your time, I could analyze what you have from work and see if it's beneficial for you. Or, yes, I got something in play. Okay, what do you have? oh, I have XYZ company. Okay, if I could save you some money or increase your coverage like I did for your parents, would that interest you? They're going to be like, no, F you. They're going to say, yeah, okay, great. Right? So it just leads you into an easier conversation. Also, statistically, I love your Carnegie stat. Statistically, referrals are going to close 50% higher based on your closing ratio than a cold lead or a warm lead if you're purchasing leads. Mm-hmm. So if you close your leads at 30%, you're going to close referrals at 45%. So all I want you to do is get another swing with the bat. That's all, right? And you're not going to close every beneficiary by any means. But if you're doing 20 presentations a week, you're selling 6 people, you get 3 beneficiaries, that's 18 free leads per week times 52 weeks out of the year. You do the math. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just a portion of the scripting to make your job easier. That's it. Your whole job is talking to more people.
That is so smart.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Talk about then, you mentioned, because you're saying you're not having 30-minute conversations twice a year with people. You're sending text message, maybe you have an email drip. Like, what does that look like? What are you texting people throughout the year to kind of stay in touch? What do those like sort of smaller conversations look like?
Yeah, always during the holidays. And, I got thousands of personal clients on the book. So also don't get it twisted. I'm not being like Merry Christmas to my Jewish clients. Like, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. You know what I mean? But it's happy holidays during the holidays. It's happy Thanksgiving. I send a Happy New Year card to everybody. Everybody's getting cards during the holidays, blah, blah, blah. I'll usually send out a card, and you can use send out cards or whatever. Like the first or second week of January, have it be a little bit delayed. All right. That's just a psychological thing that I'm used to, of like, I want to be the last card in the house after all the holidays. And all it is, it's like me, my family, a little QR code, because I'm not stupid, to my website. Right. And it just says Happy New Year. Have a great 2024 or 2025 or whatever year it is. And that's it. So those are always great. We have text automations for clients' birthday all the time. So as long as they can receive text, I'll be like, hey, happy birthday, Ethan, or whatever, right? And that's always helpful. And that's really all you have to do. Like, if they're a huge client, like I have some clients that are spending multiple 5 figures, if not close to 6 figures on life insurance every year, maybe I'm calling those 25 people every 6 months. You know what I mean? But for a $30 final expense app, like, I'm not poo-pooing that client, but like, set up some automation and just make themselves feel good. And sending a $2 card and shooting over a text every 6 months doesn't cost you a lot of money. You know what I mean?
I love the little nuance there of the family picture, because we have seen with print, because we obviously do a lot of print, is when people put their family photo on print, it just has an engagement to that consumer so much better than the professional headshot. And it's not that you always do just a family photo, because then it makes it seem like you're not a professional, but it's like that little nuance there we don't want people to miss. I think that's critical. All right, so I want to switch gears, because I just want to pick your brain on this. You're a master salesman, obviously, and you've been a great recruiter, right? You've built an incredible team. Can you give me your top takeaways that you've learned on like how to recruit and attract talent?
Yeah. One, you have to be good at what you do. There are too many people in this industry running around trying to recruit people and sell them the dream, because I did it back in the day. I'll admit to it. Right? I wasn't living the dream, but I could sell the shit out of the dream. There are too many people running around with no stats, and too many agents joining those people with no stats, right? Not to toot my own horn, but I could put up 6-figure months. I've done it. I've recorded it on social media. I posted every single day. Made 70. This has been my best weekend ever in terms of take-home income. Just this past Labor Day, after 13 years in the industry, 73 grand is a pretty good 4-day, 5-day span, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Being able to post that, if you follow me on Instagram, occasionally I'll post my bank account deposits. That's not to brag. I have proof of concept, and I will teach you that proof of concept. And I think that speaks volumes from a recruiting aspect. One, it attracts people to you. You want to work with a winner. And no offense to people that are brand new in the industry or 6 or 12 months in, but like, dude, you don't have enough clout. No one should be working for you. And the antithesis of that, you shouldn't be focused on recruiting. If you're such a stud, go make a ton of money on your personal pen and then start recruiting 2-3 years down the road when you have all these stats.
So good.
And you can actually train somebody how to be you. So I think that's super important, is constantly being out there in terms of proof of concept, still being relevant in the field, because if an agent comes and works with ATIG, like, I'm not preaching from my ivory tower. I'm still going out every once in a while. I'm still running during AEP. I still fly home and sell clients. I'm taking one of my sales managers in the field today and tomorrow, and we're going to film it and post it out there. Like, I think that's super important. And granted, if you made $100 million and you're 55 years old and you're semi-retired and you own an agency, like, more power to you. That's amazing. But I think staying relevant is super important for, one, agents to be attracted to you, and two, for you to have a viable process to be able to make them money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so good. And especially in this day and age where everybody's an influencer, everybody's a guru, especially on social media, it makes it so easy for everybody to be a guru. So I think you're spot on. And winning attracts winning. That is a key point. Winning attracts winning. So tell us a little bit about, obviously you've overcome adversity, right? You have built a big team. You've been at it for a long time, pounding the pavement. Motivation, there's so much motivation out there, right? But people need to know, how do you stay disciplined? How have you found that you've been able to overcome the punch in the gut, the bad year, the 2 years, the streaks? Like, what has worked for you?
That's a great question. One, I use past self and future self a lot. Okay. One, I never want to go backwards, because I remember being 22, 23, getting hit with $48,000, $50,000 of roll-up debt and having negative money for 18, 19 straight months. Like, I didn't have no money. I had negative money because I owed the credit card company, because I had to put all my debt on all these cards and keep rolling balances. And I was eating ramen noodles, and my wife, girlfriend at the time, our dates were always Netflix and chill with a bag of Cheetos, because we had no money, in my parents' house, like a loser, right? So fear of never going backwards constantly propels myself forward. And if you don't like that pessimistic approach, I also sometimes use, and I was on a training call with my agents right before this, make sure your future self doesn't want to kick you in the teeth, because present self has to take care of future self. If knowing me and how competitive and crazy I can be, 10 years from now, 45-year-old Pete, Elon Musk develops a time machine, would I come back in time and punch myself in the face because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do to propel myself forward so future self can have a better life?
Wow.
Because that's the only way you can take care of yourself. A lot of people are, especially in this industry, sacrificial lambs. You hear on social media, everybody's a guru. Everybody loves the grind, and I don't mind living outside in a tent and eating bags of chips if I know it's going to happen. That attitude of survival will not propel you forward. You're just surviving. You're not succeeding. So instead of worrying about present self, worry about what Pete's going to think of past self 10 years from now. And make sure you're taking care of that guy. And he doesn't want to time travel, because who knows, that might be a thing in 10, 15, 20 years. And I don't get a roundhouse kick to the face from my future self.
Future Pete.
That's so
Avoid
good.
the roundhouse kick. Absolutely. Pete, what books would you recommend people read, or what book has had the biggest impact on your life?
Oh man, I love, I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. One of my favorites on there is Big Money Energy by Ryan Serenian. I think I read it like 3 or 4 times.
Oh man,
now.
I've never read that one. I need to read that one.
It's so good, because I always wondered, watching this dude on social media, and like, you don't know the ins and outs of everybody's family and personal life, but this dude's never not working. And like, how do you not get burnt out and whatever? And he explains it all in the book. And one thing that I took from him big time is how important your time is, and time needs to be spent on what you're good at and outsource the rest. And then everything on my calendar is based on 15-minute intervals. So even this calendar invite that you guys sent me for the hour, just in case, I broke it up into 15-minute chunks.
Wow.
Because mentally, it's better for me. And I apply that to talks with my mom. Right? You're like, oh, Mom, I got an hour on Saturday. how many of you have spoken to your mom or dad or a family member or a buddy, and the first 30 minutes of the conversation is BS nonsense, and you're not talking about anything, right? Training calls with your agents, making it more applicable to insurance. You could get an entire training call done in 9-10 minutes. You don't need this like, how's the weather, blah, 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 crap going on. You know what I mean? And maybe they're yellow if you went to SWAT. But like, with all due respect, like my time's super valuable and I want to give you the most of it in a short amount of time. So that's a huge one. I also really like the power shifts, Dame and John. That's been a really good one for me. Just focusing on, again, what the most successful people in the world are doing.
Yes.
And how you can emulate that schedule. And like some of them are crazy. Like, oh, I spend 2 hours a day of real work and the rest is spent with my family. Okay, but what'd you do leading up to that? Maybe break down those stories and everything like that, right? Too, because I only want to work 2 hours a day. That's living the dream. You know what I mean? I can't right now, but I'd like to get to it. So I think those are really good. And like quintessential ones too, 10X rule, I reread every year, Sell or Be Sold. I like Grant in turn, love him or hate him. His books are a wealth of knowledge.
Agree, man.
So
Yeah,
those are all good too.
Yeah, and he's proved him. So I know he has a lot of haters, but like I have followed him for it's got to be 12 years now or something like that. Like back in his car dealer days, and he's done exactly what he said he was going to do. Like that is the thing that is the most impressive about someone like that. Like when you read his books, you just go, man, the guy said he was going to be a billionaire. The guy said he was going to get this many apartments. The guy said he was going to be the best trainer. Like it's crazy, man, what he said he was going to do and what he accomplished. That is really, really, really good stuff, man. I feel like I could talk to Pete all day.
Yeah, Pete, thank you so much for coming on. This is great. Please, before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you and if they're in insurance, how they could work with you or kind of find out more about what you're doing.
If you are interested in finding a new home, allthingsinsurancegroup.com, or if you don't necessarily want to move your contracts and you just need the best training on the planet, PeteFournier.com, because I do outside consulting and training for agents that are not necessarily with me. So hit me up in any capacity.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. And thank you all so much for listening. We're going to include those links that Pete mentioned in the show notes for this episode, which you can get over at staypaidpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. We'll read it here on the show. And the best way to show your support is to simply share the podcast with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social as well. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Pete, man, thank you so much. So much gold, so much wisdom there. My action item for everybody listening to this, like, you know, obviously I'm a huge referral guy. You got to get those referrals, right? So you got to ask. That's I say simple, but most of you aren't doing it. Start doing it. Ask it every time you earn a client, but even the clients that you earned in the past, you need to call them up and ask them. But this is releasing in October, so there's holidays right around the corner. And you heard Pete say, man, he sends a text message during the holidays, or he'll make a phone call to the core relationships. Do not miss that opportunity. I want you to put it in your calendar right now that you are going to pull out your phone and you are going to text the people in your database. And if you're really good, leverage it off and get a system that can do a mass text. But put that in your calendar to make happen, because the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every industry is top producers take action. Take action on that today.